Hello and welcome to this tutorial about editing holes and circular faces in a meshed model in Altair SimLab. In this tutorial, we will see how to remove and modify holes, change the number of elements in circular faces, align faces to a specific radius, and remesh partial cylinders. To begin, let's locate and open the file included with this tutorial. We can do this by dragging and dropping the file into SimLab. We will first remove and modify holes. Let's zoom into the area where we will remove a hole by changing to the YX view as shown, and then zooming in to see the small hole on the positive Y side of the carrier. Next, go to Geometry, Feature, Hole, and then pick the cylinder faces from the small hole as shown. Note that Local Remesh will output a clean mesh after the removal, and click OK to remove the hole. We can see that a clean mesh has been created in place of the hole. Now we will modify another hole by changing the radius. Head to the bearing seat on the positive X side of the carrier by rotating and zooming into the area as shown. Select the Move tool from the Home ribbon and make sure the face selector is active. Pick a face on the bearing and then click the arrow that appears. Change the radius to 22, then select Update. We can see that the radius of the hole has been modified. Next, we will change the number of elements around or along circular faces. To do this, we will remesh with change layers. Head to Mesh, 2D Mesh double drop-down arrow, Change Layers. Deselect Axial, Radial, and select Circular. Set the number of circular elements to 40, then pick the bearing seat and the concentric neighbor faces as shown using the Fillet selector. Then select Apply. Deselect Circular. Then set the number of axial radial elements to 2. Select the cylindrical face and the hollow disc as shown, and click OK. The next task is to align some faces and edges to a given radius. Let's begin with aligning edges to a circle. Zoom into the bearing area on the positive Y side of the carrier as shown. Head to Geometry, Feature, Align, and choose the aligning mode as Circle. Switch the selection mode to Edge Loop. Then pick the target edge and the reference nodes as shown. Note that for the reference nodes, you can pick any 3 nodes from the circle. Select the option to project mid-nodes and click Apply. Now we can close out of the Align tool and head to Mesh, 2D Mesh double drop-down arrow, Change Layers. Check that axial radial number of elements is still set to 2. In addition, select Circular number of elements and set the value to 36. Select the face as shown, then select OK. We will also align some faces to a cylinder. To do this, head to Geometry, Feature, Align, and choose the aligning method as Cylinder. Change the selector to Fillet, and select the upper faces from the bore as shown. Then click on Define, Modify Cylinder. Select any cylindrical face or edge in the selection, then adjust the radius to 33 millimeters and confirm with OK. Select the Project Mid-Nodes option and select Apply. We can now close out of the Align tool and go to Geometry Merge Faces. Right-click and choose the previous selection. Then click OK to merge the faces. Now we can go back to the Change Layers tool and deselect Circular. Then select the newly merged face and set the axial, radial number of elements to 8. Click OK. The final task in this tutorial is to remesh partial cylinders. Let's locate the area to remesh by zooming into the upper bearing hole to find the lubrication hole inside as shown. With the cylinder cone selector active, select this hole. Note that the option Change Layers works well for full cylinders, cones, and hollow disc faces. But in cases with partial cylinders, it is preferable to use ISO line mesh control and remesh. This option is what we will use here. Head to Mesh Controls. Then pick the option Isoline and change the axial element size to 4 and the circular number of elements to 16. Click OK. Now go to Mesh, Remesh, and select the hole again using the cylinder, cone selector, or retrieve it using the previous selection arrow. Next, right-click and choose Select Adjacent to add adjacent faces to the selection. Change to Tri-6, average element size 6, maximum angle per element 30, and curvature 2. Click OK to apply the remesh. Retrieve the newly remeshed faces and hide them. Select all remaining faces and invert the transparency, then redisplay the body. You can zoom into the area we remeshed to more clearly see the result. Note that instead of including the adjacent faces in the remesh, it is also possible to remesh the partial cylinder only, remembering to turn off the option Preserve Boundary Edges. This concludes the tutorial. Thank you for viewing.